Hello and welcome to Run Talk with Dom.
Hello.
And me, Ollie, co-founders of Run Riot. This podcast features conversations with runners talking about what running is release means for them.
Each episode contains frank discussions about personal endeavours, mental well-being, physical challenges. Basically loads of good content related to running.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Run Talk. Today we are in sunny, very sunny Surrey in Hindhead with the Devil's Punch Bowl behind us, this very dramatic landscape in the Surrey Hills. So our guest today is Anna Gray. Hello, Anna.
Hi, Ollie.
Hello. So Anna has a very interesting background as a professional in healthcare communications and as a
nutritional therapist.
Yep. Indeed. So obviously very interested in health and well-being. And in fact, when you were talking to Dom and myself, you talked about being obsessed with health and well-being. And I think that's a great place to start. Mm-hmm. When did that obsession begin and how does running kind of interplay with that?
Well, the interest in health and well-being started quite early on, but I trained as a nurse initially before going into healthcare comms. Yeah. So always interested in well-being, but the interest in, the obsession really with doing the best you can with your health and your own body was probably my late 20s. Okay. I was looking for some release. I was in a quite unhealthy relationship. Okay. I wasn't very healthy, and I knew I needed to get healthy. So I started running. And I started running probably for the wrong reasons, because I started running to get out of the house. Yeah.
That's as good a reason as any, let's be honest.
I started running to get out of the house, and I kind of gradually went on longer and longer runs. So yeah, my first 10K I did with work, actually. I managed to persuade my colleagues at work to do a 10K with me. Two years later, I did 3 marathons. So
wow. That's an escalation.
It's quite an escalation. But yeah, it became pretty much an obsession from then on.
One of the themes that came out of some conversations we've already had is this idea of relationships, and you talk about running really eloquently in terms of it, this kind of constant relationship. Maybe it ebbs and flows and it changes over your lifetime, but maybe delve into that a little bit in terms of where you started with your relationship with running and where you are now.
Yeah, so originally, as I said, it was very, very much a release to get out and try and find myself. Yeah. I guess. So relationship with myself has always been a part of running, very much. But then I met lots of people through running. I made a very good group of friends who I'm still friends with now. Over 20 years later, we're still running together. We still go and do events together. And I'm going on a running festival with one of them in a few weeks' time. Cool. So yes, it's the relationships that I find with running. I don't run with them, actually.
Oh, really?
unless we're doing an event.
So you just talk about running together?
We talk about running together, yes, and we enter silly races together. Yeah. But we don't actually train together.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you do the races together? As in you run them together?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But through the years we've done, as I said, marathons, Ironman, delved into triathlon for a while. Wow. And did a few Ironmen as well. Stopped doing that, realised I didn't really like the cycling bit. Well, I'm getting back into that a bit. But yeah, running's the easiest of them all. So running's the thing I always come back to. You can just put your shoes on and go straight out the door. Yeah. So it's there.
I might argue that it's not that easy sometimes.
Well, no, I say that. So
the
simplest to do, But even if you just go out for a run and it's not a great run, you've still gone out for a run. Yeah. Nothing's, unless you haven't injured yourself or anything. But your part of my mental health routine is to go out and run. Yeah. So that I can just forget about things, forget about what's going on in general life. Yeah. And I have actually, just made some good friends from it as well. So from that perspective, it's all round mental health. Yeah.
So you talk about getting away from things. I might have to get a little bit deep here. Obviously, you've had some serious kind of life events in recent years that have happened. And again, on that theme of relationship and your kind of relationship with running, it might be worth kind of talking about that a little bit, I think. Yeah.
So yes, I was diagnosed with breast cancer initially in 2022. And I set myself a challenge. I had very simple treatment for that. I had surgery, minor surgery really for that. It was a lumpectomy for that. I had no further treatment. And so straight after that, I entered my local half marathon.
Wow.
So what, 12,
Just to make your life tougher.
12 weeks, it wasn't even 12 weeks, it was probably 10 weeks after surgery, I ran the local half marathon, which was a big plus. And it's always, if anything goes wrong in my life, running is the thing that I get turned to say, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to do something with this. And it becomes the obsession rather than thinking about what's happened. Then the running becomes the positive obsession to actually get, timelines, milestones in to be able to do this run and get a plan in so that you're not thinking about everything else. I'd already in the diary to travel to Australia and do Sydney Marathon with one of my very good friends who lives out there. And that was to celebrate our birthdays. So we were both turning 50, so we wanted to celebrate, and why not do a marathon?
So some idea, some think of that as a celebration, some don't.
And 2 weeks before I was due to fly, I was well into my training. I was the fittest I'd been for a very long time. And 2 weeks before I got re-diagnosed with recurrence of the breast cancer, and had a bit of an argument with the oncologist to actually let me go to do the marathon. And persuaded her, or rather my breast cancer nurse persuaded her that it was good for my mental and physical health to actually go out and do what I'd planned to do. So went out to Sydney, cried pretty much the whole way around the marathon, but because knowing what I was coming back to, because I was coming back to pretty much instantly go back under the knife and have a mastectomy.
Wow.
Following that, I found out I was going to have chemo. So I was given 12 weeks from, to be fair, my surgeon, my breast surgeon and the plastic surgeon was a triathlete and a runner.
Okay.
So he was very, very aware of what I needed.
He understood the obsession.
He absolutely understood the obsession. So from that very first conversation with him as to, this is going to impact your life. You're going to have to take time out after this. It's at least 12 weeks that you can't do any exercise. I couldn't lift anything. I couldn't lift a kettle for, about 6 weeks. Right. But he said, but we'll get you back. So 12 weeks, put it in the diary and you'll be back out running, and I expect to see you next summer doing, another marathon and cracking on. So he was very, very understanding with that. And, but actually I had quite a lot of, I found out after I had the surgery that I needed chemotherapy. So, I had a port fitted, which they put the chemotherapy through. Unfortunately, I had quite a bad reaction to that. So at the 12-week mark, when I should have been out running, and I had it in my diary that I was going out running, I spent about 14 hours in A&E instead. So
oh my God.
It was all, I had a catalogue from that time. I have basically the last 2 years have been up, down, up, down. Yeah. And each time in my head, it's when can I get out running again? Yeah. When can I go out and
but again,
actually...
that's the positive thing that you can control as well. Yeah. Really interesting. Yeah.
It is. So yes, I sat down with my oncologist, who's also a very understanding woman, who, a medical oncologist, to go through. I said, we'll work out a plan, and when you're allowed to start running again, when you can start running again, she said, I want you to do Couch to 5K in half the time, and I want you to come back and tell me that that's what you've done.
Bullish.
Very bullish. Yes. Yeah. Wow. But after the chemo, I also developed a temporary medical-induced heart condition as well. Yeah. So I was out for about 6 months from running. So I'm just now still actually getting back to it.
Yeah.
So Anna, interesting to hear that key theme there, relationships. Yep. And I'm keen to explore more something we talked about earlier, this idea of relationships with other people that you may run with. Tell me a bit more about running clubs, because I'm really keen to join one.
Well, okay, so it's taken me until the age of 51 to join a running club. I have never considered myself a runner. So running has been my thing, just for my own personal health and well-being. But I actually, with two reasons. I moved house and I moved to an area where I didn't know many people at all. I can count them on one hand. I wanted to get to know more people, and I joined various different clubs, and none of them, I've kind of went and I thought, they're not my tribe, they're not my people. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And then thought, running club? Duh. Join a running club because that's what you do. Yeah. Now I said before, and I say it again, I don't really run with people unless I'm doing an event. Yeah. So it's been a big change. I've done 6 runs with them now. So I've literally just joined. But it's really nice. I like it.
I get the impression you're quite competitive. Dare I say, fiercely competitive. Does that translate well in a run club, or is it just a different vibe?
It's just a different vibe. I haven't. So I've done 2 events with them, but I'm a slow runner. So I'm competitive, but with myself.
Right.
I don't compete very well with other people because physiologically my body won't let me.
Right.
Especially not at the moment.
Yep.
There was a time when I was chasing times, but that's not now.
Yeah, I mean, you're being very modest there. You've done Ironman runs, though, as well as marathons, etc., etc. So you have pushed yourself to the limit.
Yeah.
But again, I come back to this idea of relationships. There's something interesting you said there, as well as your relationship with yourself, with running per se, but also this idea that you're competing against just yourself rather than other people. In a run club, how does that translate? How does that translate in terms of your relationship with those other people?
So I suppose one of the reasons I joined the run club I'm part of is because they have they've over 300 members. They have a whole variety of run sessions per week. So their club night is, I think there's 8 different run speed groups to go in. Everything from walking through to your speedy, whippets who are, off and they do like 8-9 miles on a club night. I'll do 6 miles with my group.
Right.
So it is competing with yourself, and I'm hoping that I'll get up to the next level. I'll get up to the next group, but that'll come in time. But if I, for whatever reason, need to drop down, so it's quite, it's very open, and it's not. They do compete, and there was a league race on Sunday which I marshalled at, and you get points for that for the club. So there's competition within it, but it is still very much you compete with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Glenn, who we had on an earlier episode, episode 2, I think, talked very much about the idea of when you go running within his group in particular, you always go at a pace where you can still talk.
Yes.
And I presume that's something.
That's the case. Yeah.
That is the case. Yeah.
So there's a maximum of, I think it's 12 people per group, and you always have a group lead and a tail runner.
Right.
So you're never going to get left behind as well, and that's something that the ethos of it is. It's very inclusive, and it sounds a bit twee and whatever, but that's really important for people coming into running to be able to actually say, you can do it and you won't get left behind. We'll always go at the pace of the slowest runner. And
would you say then you are therefore a convert at the age of, what did you say, 51 with Whisper, that you are now a convert to running clubs?
Yes.
So Anna, you mentioned something really interesting there about the idea that running clubs are actually very inclusive.
Yep.
I've always thought they're a bit elitist in many senses, but there's something in that, this idea of inclusivity, because a lot of people might be scared of running and might not have the confidence. Maybe explore that a bit?
I would have put myself in that same mindset as you before I joined a running club, and actually I probably was a bit fearful of joining a running club for that very reason, but actually if you take the point that I believe everyone can run, and if you want to be able to actually start to run with support, then a running club's probably your best bet, because they are, from what I've seen, my one running club. But I believe that from speaking to other people, like at parkrun and things like that actually running clubs are really inclusive, and they want to help people and get more people running. That's the whole ethos of them being there. Their whole reason for being is to get people running. So and it does build confidence running with other people.
Explore that. What do you mean by confidence? Confidence within yourself? Confidence in groups? What?
Both. Everything. I was never a runner growing up. I didn't run growing up. I hated it. I went for my first proper run about age 29. But it gives you the confidence to achieve something. Even if you don't achieve anything else during a day, if you can go out and run, even if it's 5 minutes. I mean, my first run was probably 5 minutes, age 29, before I was puffing red and had to crawl back home. But the further you go on, the further you push yourself, the more confidence you get in actually be able to achieve something. And I think that's really important. And for me, if we look at everything else that goes on in life, if you want to have a constant that you can keep coming back to actually give you confidence and make you feel like you're achieving, then running can do that.
So Anna, we talk, as you know, at Run Right about running is release. That's our kind of mantra, if you will. What does that mean to you?
I think running as release is about release from day to day, anything that's getting you down. It's a release to be able to have thoughts for yourself, not think about, well, not even have any thoughts, just have nothing, and just allow yourself to actually kind of find yourself. It's good for, obviously I use it for my physical health, but it's mental health as well. A bit of great, just therapy.
I would love to remember the author's name, but I can't. But he says something about running to acquire the void. And I think that's really interesting. It's just nice. That sort of nothingness.
Yes, that is nice. I mean, it's therapy. You find, you work things out when you're running, or you run to forget, or you run to just be somewhere else. And being more in control. I think it's a lot of control as well, and control of your own state of mind when you're running. You can just count steps. You can look at trees and look at wildlife, whatever. But it's more, it's just very relaxing as well. Although you put yourself through physically, it's not relaxing, but mentally it's relaxing.
Yeah, no, I know that's a weird, isn't it? That contrast between it's kind of hard, but at the same time it's release, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dare I say? Yeah, kind of being removed from the day to day. I think that's really, that definitely chimes with me.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.